Teachers, what was the best smartass response from a student you have heard? A kid in my math class would sleep on his desk. One day the teacher called on him to answer a problem on the chalkboard. He woke up, solved the problem on the board with zero difficulty, and then just went back to sleep. The teacher repeated the same thing a few times with similar results, and then just let him sleep the rest of the year. My history teacher would spend half the class making jokes directed at the students. One student in particular always took the jokes on the chin and never really made any comebacks. Eventually, the teacher called him out and jokingly lectured him about standing up for himself. He ended his rant with, "You've got to be a man. You've got to be like me." The student replied with, "Well, which one? Do you want me to be a man or do you want me to be like you?" I've told this story on Reddit before, but this really shy kid that doesn't really speak much was getting picked on by this mean girl when the teacher tells her be nice to him. He might be your boss someday. Without missing a beat he replies, "No thanks. I don't want to be a pimp when I grow up." Deem. Well, this one was during coaching classes for entrance exams. The maths teacher reduced a given problem to a simpler form and challenged the students. So this expression doesn't fit any of the given standard forms for us to find the particular integral. So what do you propose we do? A kid from the back shouted, "The next question." This sounds like my entire calculus class my senior year. Not a teacher, but this happened in an upper level French class where you can only speak French. If you speak English, the teacher scolds you in French. My friend walked in a few minutes late for a quiz and wasn't allowed to take it. My friend looked at the teacher and said, in English, "That's bullshit." The teacher looked back angrily and said, also in English, "What did you just say?" My friend, "En français, monsieur." He got kicked out of the class. In French class we had one guy say to his friend, "Oh, you bastard," right as the teacher walked in front of them and the whole class got quiet. We thought they were in for it. Instead, she goes, "En français, c'est bâtard." I witnessed a rather sad one. In my chemistry class sophomore year, one of my friends was going through some family issues, and his dad just left for a year or so. The kid was acting up in class and the teacher was like, "Do you want me to call your dad?" And he was like, "If he picks up, tell him to come home soon." I had a friend who told the teacher he wasn't going to be able to come to an after-school event. She started fussing at him, telling him that he wouldn't ever make it to college because of how irresponsible he was. When she finally asked why he couldn't come, he replied, "My house burned down." In high school, one of my teachers was having a disagreement with a student. I can't remember what it was about, but finally the teacher asked him if she wanted her to call his mother. The student replies, "Do it then. My mama will agree with me too." The teacher then asks him to leave her class. He goes, "You know what, I'm gonna call my mom for you." He then whips out his cell phone and calls his mom on speaker. "Hey, ma, this teacher want to talk to you." The whole class just lost it. My wife, when she was in high school, had a PE teacher that pulled this kind of thing. The class was doing some exercises, but my wife kept finishing them faster than the lazier students, so she would be standing around waiting for the rest of the students to finish. The teacher accused her of not doing them. My wife said she had done them, and they argued back and forth a bit. The teacher then decided to call my wife's father to get her in trouble or something. The teacher actually got a hold of him on speakerphone so the whole class could listen. The teacher tells him all about how your daughter says she finished her exercises, but is clearly lying, and won't do more exercises or something. My father-in-law, who was a partner in a very successful business law firm, listens quietly through the whole thing and then responds with, "My normal billing rate is large number of dollars per hour. Don't waste my time with this crap. If my daughter says she did the exercises, then she did them. Don't ever call me again." And then hung up. The teacher immediately told everyone to get back to their exercises for the day, and never brought it up again. I'm not a teacher, but I had a friend in school who was always pretty dramatic. She actually did have IBS though. So we're in this bishy teacher's class and she keeps asking to use the bathroom. The teacher says no. My friend's like, "I have IBS though." And the teacher is like, "Tell me what those initials mean and I will let you go." So she screams, "It means I have to shit," and takes off out of the room. A more common version of this is, girl, can I use the bathroom? Male teacher, yes. Girl, picks up bag. Male teacher, loudly, why do you need your bag to go to the toilet? I once saw a girl answer something like, cause some of us bleed from our vaginas, want me to get you proof? He just apologized and never made the same question to anyone again. Not a teacher, but witnessed as student. We had a substitute who was leafing through the yearbook and got to the senior superlatives. Our school mascot was the Eagles. She started reading some of it aloud and said, "Oh, that's nice." Sorry, most school-spirited a student answered back, "Yeah, because she's always spread eagle." The substitute couldn't keep from laughing, as much as she tried not to. This is sort of a flip from the question, but there was this awesome history teacher I had freshman year of high school who was just always in an amazing mood. We'll call him Mr. Smith. One day everyone is sitting in class waiting for the tardy bell to ring, when a kid sneaks a condom onto the door handle. The bell rings and Mr. Smith walks into the room, grabs the handle to close the door, and pulls the condom off of it. Looks at the condom helmet for a split second and stuffs it into his pocket while saying, "Thanks, I'll need this later." Thanks, but it's not parents' evening yet. I had a teacher tell a classmate no drinks in class. He got up from his seat, picked up the teacher's drink, and deposited in the garbage with his drink. She sent him to the office. Not me, but a colleague told me this story. It was one of his first years teaching, so he was about 22 to 24 at the time. It was a junior high science class and he told a student to stop messing around and get back to work. The student's response, "Man, I got bitches older than you. All I'm looking at right now is a bitch younger than me, back to work." Our teacher was teaching us about the states of matter, solid, liquid and gas. He was talking about how a solid you can break into littler pieces, but how you can't do the same to liquids or gases. So I blurt out, "But you can break wind." I still talk to that teacher and he says that was the best part of his teaching career. This was in 6th grade. I've taught preschool for years, and one of my favorite dad responses to children who are being whiny just to whine is the "Hi, I'm your teacher." Example, "I'm thirsty." "Hi, thirsty. I'm your teacher." Anyway, one day, after a long week, I sat down to lunch with my class, preschool, remember 4 to 5-year-olds, and say to a child, we'll call him Tommy, "Boy, Tommy, I'm really tired today." Without skipping a beat, he swallows his mac and cheese, looks me right in the eyes and says, "Hi, really tired. I'm Tommy." That was the day I knew I had taught him all I could. Let me point out that I'm female since people will assume I'm a guy. I taught in an inner city school. We were talking about prime numbers, so I would have kids give me a number and we'd work out if the number was a prime number on the board. One kid wasn't paying attention, so me being a young teacher I thought I'd catch him off guard and call on him. It went something along the lines of, "Mark, do you have a number?" "Huh. I need your number." "She eat, play it cool, girl. We can talk after class." The whole room lost their shit and I turned red from embarrassment. They then laughed at how red I got. My sister, who is a teacher, was taking her kindergarten class through the lunch line. Well, this day was St. Patrick's Day, so there was green cupcakes. My sister told the class, jokingly, "Don't eat too many cupcakes, or you'll turn green." A young black boy looks up at her and says, "Miss Carey, I ain't never seen a green brother before." Had my class of working class kids at an art gallery. As we waited for our tour to begin, we played on the small playground near the door. A prep school kid in a uniform approached 2 of my boys and said, "I bet I'm smarter than you are." I watched to make sure no blood was drawn. My students can hold their own pretty much anywhere and they don't accept insults casually. But they were cool. "No, you're not. Are you in grade 2? The boy said he was and one of my boys said, "So then we're all grade 2. So we are all grade 2 smart." He went back to climbing the monkey bars. But the prep school kid continued, "I know I'm smarter. Let's do some math and I'll prove it." The toughest kid in my room looked this guy square in the eye and said, "Well, I'm smart enough not to do math when I'm having fun on a playground." Just yesterday actually. One of my classes is fun in that we give each other hard times, but all in good fun and accomplish a lot. A girl starts giggling uncontrollably for no reason, and she's a bit of an airhead, so I asked her if she saw something shiny and if that entertained her. Another boy jumps in and says, "Yeah mister, your head. I'm going bald." I wanted to pretend to be mad, but it was just too damn funny. In HS, our functions and relations teacher would always start to say something, forget it and say, "I lost my train of thought." Well, one day a buddy of mine replies, "It's okay sir, there were no important passengers on board." Student in my Spanish class was sleeping, like always. Teacher finally got tired of it and tried to embarrass him by waking him up and yell at him in Spanish. The student responded with, "I'm back here minding my own business, not causing any sort of distractions at all, and you decide to stop everyone's learning by trying to make me look stupid. We all know I have no idea what you're saying, so please stop disrupting the class and let me go back to not bothering anyone." She never said another word to him. We had a teacher that would always threaten to phone our home if we were misbehaving, which she promptly stopped after. Teacher: "What would your mother say if I called home right now?" Student: "She would say hello." I wasn't in the class, but my buddy swears that one time his history teacher called a student's mother because he was sleeping in class. He said the teacher got all the parents' numbers at the beginning of the year. I went to a mostly black school, and evidently this kid had one of those stern black moms. Anyway, the teacher doesn't say a word to the kid, who's asleep. He quietly told the mom he was sleeping in class and would she like to have a word with him about that. He holds the cell phone to the kid's ear and she ducking goes off. My buddy said you could hear her across the room. That poor kid spent the rest of the day walking the Green Mile. I can imagine that black mom's voice right now. Boy, have you lost your damn mind? Why are you sleeping in class? I work myself to the bone so you can get yourself an education and you sleep through it. Lord Jesus, give me strength. If you can't give me a functional demonstration of a Mandelbrot set when you get home, I might tan your hide. My math teacher said, "If you don't understand, ask me. There are no stupid questions." Where a guy in my class quickly responded, "Is that so? Do you cut your toenails with a chainsaw?" A kid mocked me when I said, "Don't do that." I started to yell at him and he said, "No man, that's a song." He then spontaneously came up with a rap song called "Don't Do That" and his friends started making beats. I was no longer mad. Spanish class in high school. Two guys who grew up in Spanish speaking families were goofing off at the back of class. One guy says that he could stand the weight of another person standing on his stomach, and the other guy, who was probably just shy of 200 pounds, doesn't believe him. So the first guy gets on the ground in the back of class, and the other guy gets up and stands on his stomach. The teacher sees this, and immediately yelled at the guy on the ground to get back into his seat. Without missing a beat, he says, "I can't, he's standing on me." The other guy doesn't move because he wasn't yelled at. Meanwhile, the teacher continues to be upset that the guy on the ground isn't listening to her. How the hell could you talk with 200 pounds standing on you? With your mouth.